Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Design Recharge or Creatives Ignite, whatever we're calling it this week. I'm back at school, so I have Will's poster is right here. This is a new, well, it's not new. I got it. I think it was maybe 2 Decembers ago.
Newish.
But it's
Yeah.
been there. It was just in the other spot. So my friend Janine, I can't tell where I'm pointing, but the painting. So I added Janine's painting, which it will be hung next time. And Will did comment that all my other things are not straight and it's the wall. And so I'm not going to even worry about it. Rex is here. It's awesome to have you. He's in DC. So we love for people to come live. And Will has been one of those people for at least 10 years.
It's been a long time.
Go ahead.
I was trying to think of like when I was introduced to you, and like my clearest memory is Weapons of Mass Creation.
Oh, yeah.
But I also know you were wearing my shirt there. So there had to be a time before.
I think so. Somehow when was that? 2015?
16?
Okay.
15, 16?
Something. I met Will. I thought I met you at Creative South, but
maybe.
Anyway, you went in 2015 or 14?
I think 16 was my first Creative South.
Okay, then I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either.
Okay, so, but we just got together and we became friends. And then he came, I think you were almost to Amy Lyons, which Amy's not here. Amy, I'll be calling you later. But I think that we appreciate it, Rexette. And then we've had a group for prayer for designers, and that's where I feel like I really got to know you. We would do Bible study at night on whatever Tuesday or Monday or whatever day it was, and then it was like he couldn't get rid of me. But here's what I love about Will. Will is such a great cheerleader for me. He is a great designer. We work together on plenty of projects where it's both of us working on a website, or he's helped me with some of my clients' websites. And we've done a lot of different things. And he is somebody who doesn't not want to be my friend then. So I think with all those things, and here's the thing I love the most is that Will is going to tell you the truth. I think a lot of people are trying to be nice and tell you the truth, but they're trying to be nice. Not that Will's not.
I'm not very nice.
You are nice, actually, because I actually think being nice means telling you in a loving way the truth. When I've asked, I would call him after we'd have a group session. I'd be like, how did you think that went? And you were like, you got to do this better. You got to do something. And that's what I want. I want to improve. And I think we need people like Will. And so Will is awesome. And I have said, when you do this Kickstarter, let's have you on the show. When you do this, and then all these things, he just keeps getting out of it. And then I started doing this inspiration. So this inspiration started with Mina, who also loves you. Mina Khalili, who's Stephanie Nace teaches with her at University of South Carolina. And I mean, you just have a way, you have such interesting things that you're interested in. And I was like, let's let you do the inspiration. So it's like inspiration in action. So who's inspired you, what your design life has been like, and then what you've been making. And this is how I met you. One of the first things, I don't remember how I met you, but whatever. One of the first things is you had a retail company and you had all these shirts, and I loved them because they were like Jesus shirts that weren't real obvious Jesus shirts, you know? It was like, see you in heaven, or it wasn't. It was like death or something, like, I don't even remember, but I still have
show some of them.
Yeah, I know. Okay, good. So, but I bought, I think 3, you brought them to me at Weapons of Mass Creation in Cleveland. Brian Bundy is in Cleveland. And I was like, I am wearing one for my talk. I wore green pants and that shirt, and it's on YouTube. That talk is on YouTube. I didn't put it up, but it's there somewhere. If you do a Diane Gibbs Beavers, I know it sounds like it might not be a good talk, but it was a good talk. And it was
a good talk.
It wasn't graphic or pornographic, I guess. Anyway. So,
No, I don't think anyone thinks that when you say Beaver.
but I think I know, but yeah. Anyway, but yeah. So Will, I have not I know how to spell your last name and I know you super well and I don't really I'm not good at saying your last name. So I'm going to let you say your last name and Truran is what I think
Super close. It's
close. I
great.
know.
You
I
did, you
know.
did great.
Okay, so um I want you to tell everybody a little bit of a background because you worked as a designer. I mean, you've worked for Harley Davidson, done lots of freelance, done your own. You decide you really felt like you were called, I think, to be a professor also.
Yeah.
And you got your MFA at Rochester
RIT.
Institute of Technology, just in case somebody doesn't know what it
Yeah.
is. Lots of people in America call it RIT. And that was all during COVID. And anyway, tell them about you.
Yeah. So, like Diane said, I'm Will Truran. Um, I've been a designer for, I don't know, 15 years almost, doing random jobs like working at pharmaceutical companies, web agencies. I ran my own studio for a bunch of years. And then in 2019, I went back to college to get my master's so I can transition into teaching.
Why did you want to be
Nick,
a teacher?
I had adjuncted for a bunch of years and then found myself mentoring a bunch. And when I was running my own studio, I had to like make that decision of like, what am I doing next? Because I don't love money enough to do sales. So like I thought I could live off of like $20,000 a year, like a dirtbag, and it's be happy. And that's not good. So that was just like, what's next? Like, am I going to go back and get another job? Am I going to do whatever? And uh, the teaching and mentoring had been like the most rewarding thing for me personally. So I knew I could commit myself to making no money as a teacher, but feeling rewarded at the end of the day because I was pouring into someone else than just like trying to sell crap I didn't believe in.
Hmm. Okay. And when you were at RIT, you took what do you call it? It's not internship, but it's kind of like that.
Yeah, a co-op or
A
internship.
co-op and you worked for Procter and Gamble and you got a whatever, I can't
A
remember what
patent.
a patent. Yeah. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was fun. I think Procter and Gamble gets a lot of hate because they have the biggest marketing budget of any company in the world, and they also produce the most plastic of any company in the world. So like they get a lot of hate. But I think it's a company that's trying to do a lot of cool stuff, and they allowed me to do a lot of cool stuff in their research department. So it was like pretty inspirational to be around people who wanted to live better.
Yeah.
So
That's
I'm a
cool.
Tide man still.
Is Tide not Procter and Gamble?
No, it is Procter Gamble. I use Tide and I use Colgate. Colgate is
Oh.
not. Are you a Crest person?
No, I use this new one called Hello or High Smile or anyway, it's
That sounds like
terrible.
a VC funded toothpaste.
I don't know. Yeah, probably. But I usually if I don't use that because they're fun flavors, better flavors, and I use AIM. I'm an AIM kid, 99 cents, baby.
I don't even know what that is.
AIM. Oh, it's on the lower shelf at Walmart.
All right. I use the baking soda toothpaste that has like no flavor.
Well, I think they have baking soda AIM. I don't know. AIM tastes yummy. Anyway, I'll get you a thing for Christmas. AIM.
Nice.
You're gonna thing of AIM. Okay, so because I think it takes some commitment to go to school and you I mean, it's not really for the money, but we do make money. We and then we can make some money on the side. But
I will
as a
say that when I started teaching in 2021, that job paid me less than the job I got in 2013. So
so
like almost a decade later, I was like making less money. I was like, this was a bad idea.
I thought the same thing. So I was working in Denver and I think I was making about $42,000 a year in 2000. And then in 2003, when I got this job, it was like 39,000. And I was like, oh my gosh, I took a pay cut. But I was able to make money doing my research, which
Yeah.
luckily I've been able to have good clients and build things up. And that's a beautiful part. But I've also, because of being a professor, I've been able to pour into doing projects like this, but you also pour into side projects. And you've done a lot of that. And
You were going
that's
to look at too many today.
and we're going to talk, but I think, and we talked about this the other day, but I think that sometimes we don't always know. Sometimes we have a very clear goal of we're going to do this and it's going to lead to this and we're going to do this. And you kind of take it a different approach. You want to tell them kind of how you decide on projects?
Yeah. I mean, like a bad answer is I don't. I kind of fall into things. And then like what you're alluding to is like my most recent project. I don't know what the point is or like why I'm doing it. It was just like something that looked interesting and I started it, and I'm hoping that after months of this that like eventually I'll figure out like, oh yeah, like this could be helpful.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just like not knowing why or not having an end goal other than just like to make.
Yeah.
And I think just making is like super important. We all know Massimo Vignelli, and he was quoted saying,
no, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, he was quoted saying, if you could design something, you can design anything. And like that idea of just like, why do we box ourselves in? I'm just going to go make like whatever I want has been super important for me as like a fulfilling item or a fulfilling object.
And your range. I mean, some things you're doing with your hands, some things you're messing with technology, we'll see. And then some things are really tech or old tech. And I think that I love that you pick up trash. I am a reuse. Oh my gosh, let's see how we can use something again. And I think that but you do a lot of things that are social causes, and Kevin Green's here. I just want to make sure we said whoop whoop to Kevin. I think I met you and Kevin about the same time.
Yeah, probably.
You're both New Jersey people. So, but Hannah said, what's your patent? Can you talk about that?
Yeah, it was, how do we encourage kids to clean and like take care of the house with the parents? So it was
Can I get my husband to do that?
Yeah, it was a phone holder that gets put on a Swiffer and turns your Swiffering into an AR game, and like tracks your house and puts like puzzles or coins all around the house, so your kid can have like a reason to go and not like miss a spot. I don't know if they're ever going to use it. I think a lot of those companies like patent things so no one else can do it.
But
it's cool. Like I came up with the idea, and then you have to present in a company like Procter & Gamble. I don't know if other companies are like this at all. Like if you have a kernel of idea, it's your responsibility to like pitch it within a week. Like, cool, like do all the research, get a pitch together and go pitch it. And then you're pitching to like scientists, and you just have like full access to these people, like engineers, scientists, marketing people. So I had a couple ideas. Most of the scientists were like, this is insane. Like, you're never going to do this. And then this one, they were like, oh, we can actually do that right now. And I was like, I know you can. Like, so we'll see. Maybe one day you'll see like a gamified Swiffer.
Me and Hannah both want that. So Hannah said, I'd use that. I don't like chores.
Yeah, I don't know. Sounds fun, right?
Do you feel like you got to tell a good intro?
Yeah, and I'm going to definitely touch on a lot of that stuff.
So the
slide deck I made.
Okay, and we're about to jump right into that. The reason I did this is because when Mina was on the show and she was sharing, she decided to do she shared some people who were inspiring to her. And I was like, and how they influenced her work. And I was like, oh my gosh, I want to do a series like this, because I got so excited by seeing how other people had been influenced and inspired, and how it's not like they're just replicating this. Now I'm going to make this and pretty much make the same thing somebody else made. So I love that. And you always make weird things, and you think, I love the way your brain works. It's just different. And I think it needs to be championed, that different kind of thinking. So
I appreciate that a lot.
Okay, you want to start your thing, and then I'll just interrupt you. And
please do, because I'm going to ramble.
You can start this real quick, except I know your dad's a photographer, right? The glamour shot thing or whatever, Olin Mills. Did he take that photo for you?
Yeah. One day I was like, I need a picture for something, and all my pictures were from like my hardcore metal days, and they were all just like really serious, a little scary. And I was applying for something. I was like, I can't use these. So I like went down to my dad's studio. I was like, we need to do something real quick. I was like, I need like one of those 80s style glamour shots to like soften up my portfolio.
I
And he
think
was like,
it was
all
like
right.
when you were going for RIT or something. I
It
don't
could have
know.
been like a job or school. Yeah. It was just
It's
like,
since I've known you, like
yeah.
it wasn't
Because
that long ago.
I was just like, I was looking through all my work, and like you said, like the clothing brand was like all death. And then I had like a martyr series in my portfolio, and then like all this stuff. And I was like, I got to do something. Like, no one's going to want to be around me.
Okay, so how has your work changed in 10 years? Maybe this is a good way to start and pull up your deck.
Sure. I think the deck I have is going to span almost 10 years, if not more.
Okay.
And you'll get to see a lot of weird transition stuff. Cool. So
Because you're an explorer, I believe.
yeah, I definitely get bored. So exploration, I guess, is a default. So when Diane asked me to do this talk about inspiration, she's like, do it about like people you're inspired by or works you're inspired by. And I really had a struggle with that because I couldn't think of anybody. And like if I said something like generic, like Massimo Vignelli or Michael Beirut, and you saw my work, you'd be like, there is zero connection here. Right? And I was thinking about that. And I also had this issue where like when I got into design, like 2010, 2012, all of my favorite designers were like, just make things you're passionate about. And every single one of them was like 80s cartoons. And I was like, I don't care about 80s cartoons at all. Like it was like every single speaker at conferences was like Thundercats and Transformers is what started my career. And I was just like, that's insane. Like who cares about that stuff? So when Diane was like, come do this talk, I had to think about it. But luckily, I had to do these long interview processes at other schools that kind of made me reflect on what I was doing with my life, I guess. And I saw a through line that I'm referring to, the least of these and lesser things. So like she said, my name is Will Truran. On the left there is little baby me, and on the right there is that glamour shot she was talking about, but I made it black and white to keep it classier than it traditionally has like a really bright gold background. But if I like have to break down myself by just titles, I think homeschooled, artist son, straight edge, trash fiend, nerd, and Christian is like a lot of what my work could get bucketed under. And that's how I'm going to kind of work through this whole kind of deck is I'm going to kind of work through my projects as they fall under these different titles.
It's not necessarily in chronological order is what you're saying, right?
If it is, it's purely because I got lucky.
Okay. That wasn't a requirement.
No. But the one on there that might be the most confusing for people is Trash Fiend. And what I mean by that is when I first started college, I was actually a studio art major, not a design major. And I was actually a sculpture major. And I started making like really big things out of cardboard and found trash. So like making 9-foot tall deers out of cardboard. Or like I grew up in the woods and I would go and find like bones and stuff and like just like bring it home so I could like clean them up and do stuff with them. Or going down the street and finding like things in trash, like this window unit that I was like, I can make like a little cabinet out of it.
That's
just like that.
Wait, I have to interrupt.
Yeah.
Joseph Cornell. Do you know that artist?
Probably not.
Oh my gosh, you would love him. He does these things that you're like these assemblages or whatever, but anyway, you should look him up. Okay, go ahead.
I was definitely like when I was a studio art major, assemblage and found materials was like a real big thing for me, especially because I was poor. So it just like makes life easier because you have no money. So like all of that, like this is 2008 to 2012, like trash became or discarded things became like really important to me. But at that same time, I had a buddy introduce me to this band called August Burns Red. And I don't listen to that band anymore, but like it got me really into hardcore and metal. Like we spent like many summers just driving around in his Beretta, just listening to like this hardcore music that at the time, I don't think I had any idea how much it would like transform my life or my direction. But now I wasn't only being surrounded by like rejected things, I was surrounding myself by rejected people, going to like these VFW shows where like kids were just like breaking each other's faces on a Friday night, or going to like barn shows for $3 where you would get just like 300 kids who couldn't afford real shows to come to like local shows where people barely knew how to play instruments. Like that was really my life for like a bunch of years. And I think like throughout everything, that you'll see a lot of that kind of just rawness, or like lack of fear of just like producing stuff even though I don't know how to. And I think it all came from like this hardcore scene in those like summers in that junk car.
I love that. I like how the car left the screen.
Yeah, everything zooms.
I love it.
So there's a couple titles on here, like Homeschooled and Artist Son, that I'm not going to like call out specifically on most of the projects, but I think if I explain some of it, you'll understand why they're there. The homeschool thing specifically is because when I was an undergrad, I was talking to some friends, and me being homeschooled came up, and a professor overheard it. And she said, that makes so much sense. And I was like, what do you mean by that? And she goes, you think you can do whatever you want. And you know what the worst part of it is? You get away with it. And like that mindset has stuck with me forever. Like, I don't think anyone should wait for permission. I don't think anyone should wait for like justification. Like if you want to do something, just like figure it out. You don't need someone to hold your hand to do this stuff. And then the Artist Son, like, I think I just grew up in a house where like it was fine. My dad had a rule where I couldn't be a photographer because he said it was too hard, but he was like totally fine with me being a graphic designer, which I think, I don't think he really knew what that meant. He thought graphic design was like Mad Men in the 50s. And it was not that by 2010. So we're all poor. So the first project I'm going to do touches Homeschool and Artist Son, but like I said, those are going to fall. I'm not going to like call them out for every project, but those are going to fall, I think, across everything you see. But Straight and Christian, especially, I was going to say like in college, but like those are two titles I've had for a long time. And for those who don't know what straight edge means, it's like in the hardcore scene and punk scene, it's like a cooler way to say sober. And when you say I'm straight edge, people don't think you just have a drinking problem. Because when I say I tried like in my 30s, I was like, I gotta stop saying straight edge. Like it's really cringy. So I started saying sober, and people were like, oh, I'm sorry. I was like, crap, can't do this either. Going back to straight edge and just gonna be cringy about it. But that project, the first one we're going to talk about is Dead Flesh Co., which is the clothing brand Diane had talked about.
I should have worn one of those shirts today.
I don't have any anymore.
Oh, I do.
Yeah, everything I had is torn up or too small. If anyone needs a small in a black shirt, hit me up because I got boxes of them at my dad's house. But a thing that happened when I was an undergrad was New Jersey is very tight. So there's a lot of schools kind of all around the Northeast and outside New York City. So my school would participate in this portfolio review at another school. And when I showed up with my portfolio, the guy would like quickly go through it, right? And then like start over and talk to you about it. And he quickly went through it and he said, oh, you're from William Patterson. And I was like, what does that mean? He goes, oh, I know all these projects. And it was like someone shot me in the gut. Like I was like, oh no, like I'm going to be going out and competing against all these students. And we're going to have all the same exact work. And I was like, how do we like solve this? Like, I don't know, like I need to figure out a new project. So I was into the hardcore scene, and band shirts started getting really expensive, like $25-$30 in 2010. Like that was something I couldn't afford. So I was like, I'm going to just start making t-shirts, selling them at shows for kids who can't afford expensive shirts. So like my shirts were always between like 15 and 18 bucks, like keeping them where I was making no money. But kids could feel like they're a part of something. We all could. But that part of being an artist son, like my dad being a photographer, I was able to just like utilize that community or that family or relationship or skills of other people, so that like when I made a shirt line, I was like, well, I need photos of this. And it can't look like I just took photos with my phone or like don't care. Like I got to present this like it's bigger than itself. It also relied on me like calling up friends, just being like, hey, you want to come give me a few hours for some pizza and like just wear these shirts and don't smile, because it was metal and we don't smile in the metal scene.
Kevin says that Jess looks exactly the same 10 years later.
Dude, yeah, we're not, she doesn't age and I just keep getting older. It's rough. But it also allowed me to like start making work where a professor had no voice, right? Like no one else had any voice in what I was doing. It was just like I made the decisions, I had to back it up, and I had to live with whatever I was doing. So it ended up being kind of like, all right, well, if I'm going to make something, the only thing I care about talking about, or the most important thing I think about talking about, is like faith and being sober. Like these were like really big things for me. So I made this kind of clothing brand that was like anti-verse on a mug, but like how could it be something where kids could relate to it? And I'd get emails from like youth groups like in the Midwest being like, my kids in our youth group have nothing to hold on to, nothing's cool here, like you're giving us like a way to like keep them interested or keep them around. So like that was really cool.
Wow, that is really cool.
And I ran it for like a decade. In the last few years, I started just like donating the money because I started working as a designer. So I started like donating the money to like nonprofits. Like that was another way of just like, how could this be bigger than myself? It already did what I needed. It got me the job. And it also like opened up community where like I made shirts for bands. I was making shirts for my buddy Biggie and his clothing brand, Deli Fresh Threads. Mm-hmm. Joe Barron, who was in chat, he's helped me start working for Harley because of this. Like we all met each other through these clothing brands. I found a guy who makes beard oil and I was like, I'm going to white label your beard oil. And I did 2 runs of those. Cause like, again, like no one, I didn't have to ask for permission. Like whatever I wanted to do, which is dangerous, right? Like the brand was never going to be big because I was just like changing my mind every 3 days.
But I love that you had a place to play. You made a playground because I think that this is something. So I remember had I gone to Atlanta after Auburn, that was what my friends were saying. They're going to these agencies and they're like, oh, this was Professor Heck's project. And I remember thinking, oh my gosh. And I already knew I wanted to be a professor at that point, but I knew I wanted to work. And I remember saying, I don't want to do that. I'm going to always do different projects. And
terrifying.
I do have some of the same, but I always mix it up. I've never given the exact same project ever, which I'm glad. Anyway, Hannah says you should bring these back as stickers and pass them out at Creative South.
How about I just give you the files and you do whatever you want with them?
Yes, you do, Kevin. Okay.
I don't care.
Okay. Maybe we can pull some of these back. Okay, so
but this project also gave me skills that like a school could not generate.
Yeah.
Right? Like learning how to art direct photography or how to brand. Like in 2010, when I was taking branding classes, it was logo design. And like that was all they were teaching. Like it had nothing to do with like how a brand affects every part of a company.
The logo is so small for not your logo. I mean, the logo is just one portion
so tiny.
of
like,
a brand. It ends up getting sometimes overpowered.
Well, and to talk about that, like when I made this logo, which isn't great, right? It's whatever. But I remember thinking like, oh, I can't just do a circle with a line through it. Like that's not going to be enough. And then I was just like, oh, I'm never going to like put it on anything. So like it really, or when I put it on, so it's going to be so small, like who really cares? But like it did. It was like, all right, I'm going to do this clothing brand to like make t-shirts. Little did I know it meant I had to learn how to like do marketing and seasonal sales and put away like collateral so I could have returning customers, or how do you create a lifestyle out of this, not just merchandise. Like it was a lot that I didn't expect. And there's no way a 16-week project at school could do this. Like this was 10 years of just like grinding. And at the end of the day, like when I look back at my work from school back then, like I'm kind of embarrassed about it. Like who made that? But with this work, because so many people like got around me and like supported it and other people were like proudly wearing it. Like when I look back at it, it's more than just mine. It became like everyone's. And there's like no reason for me to be like embarrassed about it because like they weren't, right? And
yes,
I still see like sometimes these shirts pop up now and then. It's just like, oh, like I should be stoked on what I made. And it's not because of like I made it or because of what it looks like. It's because of how like the reaction around it was.
And people found something that they connected to, and it became a symbol of their community. It became less about Will and more about what the company was. I love that.
So that's that project. And at the end of each project, I'm going to do like kind of this like what it taught me slide,
Yes, I love that.
just so you can kind of get, I guess like if there's anything to get away from this, what I'm hoping people realize is like personal projects are like super important, at least to me. And I would encourage everyone to like make stuff. And if you need to like sit down and be like, what's important to me, do it. But if you can just like go make stuff, there's like payoffs that aren't financial, right? None of these projects I'm going to be like, oh, I made X dollars, or because I did this project, I worked for Harley and made X dollars. Like the money really doesn't matter. But like this taught me art direction, merch design, social media. I wrote kind of because I'm still really bad at it. It taught me marketing. It taught me how to go and vend in person. It taught me like what true branding meant. It was more than a logo. And honestly, the biggest thing was just like, oh, you can go start whatever you want, right? Like no one gave me permission. I was just like, oh, I'm going to find someone who can screen print t-shirts, and then I'm going to figure out how I can get a website together. And like as designers, we have these skills that like everyone else needs that we can utilize to do like whatever we want, right? And I think that's like a big part. Like my buddy Biggie, who I do t-shirts for, he's not a designer or a photographer. Like if he wants to do a new shirt, he's got to bring all these people to help him do it, which is financially hard. None of us designers have to do that, right? Just like it's your time, and like
Yes.
time is better spent doing this than scroll on YouTube, which is what I did this morning. So we should be making more stuff, I think. So yeah, that's that project.
Okay, let me see if I have a question.
Go for it.
Okay, well, this one does. I said, can you see a direct correlation to what you make from who's inspiring you, or maybe some of these elements?
Yeah, I mean, like if I'm going to say that there's correlation to who inspired me, it'd be like, oh, that pastor taught me something in the Bible that like resonated and that I had to react to, right? Or there was a band that I thought was doing a really cool thing and that I wanted to be a part of in a small way. So I don't think it was, I don't think there's anything visual that you like connected to, and be like, oh yeah, that's like the inspiration. But I think there's a lot of people in my life who for sure were pushing me in different ways that I didn't expect, or at the time probably didn't even realize, right? Like looking back, I could be like, oh yeah, like I know the pastor who kind of like took that clothing brand and like made it even more intense because of how much he was resonating with me and like how he made me take my faith more seriously. Or the skateboard guys I was hanging out with, I was like, oh, I really want to be a part of this and I can't ollie. Like, how do I get a part of like this community more? And how do I like encourage them through it? If that makes
cool. Yeah,
sense.
That's it. Okay.
All right, so that was like the biggest project for sure. So the next projects will all probably be a little bit smaller, but that straight edge thing was really important to me. I mean, it still is. Like, I still don't drink. It was really hard then, though, because like when you're in your 20s, everyone's going to bars, so you're hanging out at bars a lot, or you're going to like house parties, and you're like always there holding like a seltzer or something to keep your hands busy. And through all that, I started this little tiny side project called X Mocktails X, which straight edge bands would put like X's at the ends to like tell you that they were straight edge.
Oh.
And it just said like a hardcore loving straight edge living guide to non-alcoholic bar options. And it was just like, how do I kind of like make jokes about this? Because like back then, this is going to come up a couple times, but like 15 years ago, like mocktails weren't a thing that people cared about, right? Like we all knew like Shirley Temple, but now there's like bars you can go to that have no alcohol. So like this was like a weird thing where like I started like researching like, and these all have existed probably forever, you know, like I guess people have not drank forever, but like now it's like a thing. And back then it was like a joke. So I would make these kind of like recipe cards I put on a website called, and I think I have a link to it later if you want to go see them, but it was just like, how do I like do like illustrations that are very different than like the really heavy skulls that I was doing earlier, and show some variety in my portfolio? How do I have some fun with this? So like the Dirty Dr. Pepper, the Harris Crown, and the
Did
Brown
you always
Pelican.
like drawing?
No.
Because your style, I know, because I've seen a lot of things, but you have, I've never seen this. So, but I'm thinking, wow, these are very different than the others. You've been very exploratory in style, even. of the type of illustration work you've done.
I'm going to talk about it a little bit in another project, but I think so. I didn't draw at all physically. Like my art started on the computer. When people are like, "Oh, I wanted to be an artist since I was like 4," like I wanted to be an explorer. I wanted to get in a boat. Like I didn't want to do art at all until I had to go to college. I was like, "Well, I guess I'll try something in art." But even that, like the sculpture, I wasn't drawing. I was building things physically with my hands. But I got a cracked version of Photoshop from my dad from his job. And then for Christmas one year, or like a homeschool thing, they were like, you need to learn more stuff because that's what homeschooling does. They got me a copy of like a student version of Maya, which is like a 3D program. All that to say, like, I think when you have digital tools, you are not bound to any aesthetic. Which has given me the freedom to like jump around and do like vector skulls or these things that are vectors using different brushes I either found or made. When you have a pencil, like you do, I feel like a little bit more boxed in because like a pencil works a very specific way. Obviously you can manipulate it and do things, and there's charcoal and graphite, but like with digital, a saying a professor used to tell me a lot were like, pixels are free.
Yeah.
Like this costs me no money to do other than time, right? So like, you don't have to stick to a style, because like who cares if you fail?
Yeah. Well, you did that drinks thing when Design Recharge did a drinks challenge for like a month, I think.
I think that was a part of this.
Dungeons and Dragons. No, you did these.
Oh, you're right.
Dungeons and Dragon.
Yeah.
Thingies. But again, there was some sort of drinking. Hey, Jason Karn. Okay, keep going.
So I made all these, and then I saw like my mom used to be into cooking shows a lot that I thought were always so boring. So then I went down to the basement and I told my dad to set up his camera. And I was like, I'm going to make like really sarcastic videos about how to make these drinks. But I'm going to reach out to straight edge bands and then use their hardcore music as the background so that when people open up, like they'll see this on YouTube, like, ooh, how to make a dirty Dr. Pepper. But then it'll be like a dude in the basement listening to hardcore music. And it was like really bad, but like super funny. And I have them all up on my YouTube still. So if you want to go see, it's actually, I have a friend, Patrick Hill, we do videos together. I sent him a screenshot because there's a thing called a hockey stick where it's like your video gets no attention and then it escalates. This video's been online for 10 years, I think. And in the last like 3 months, it just shot up. And I was like, why does YouTube work the way it works? And so people are watching this thing that's very embarrassing now. But it was just like, how can I just go down like with zero care and make stuff? And I would share this video, but I don't want Diane's channel to get like copyright strikes.
Oh, right. Yeah.
So I'm not going to show a lot of stuff, or I'm going to kill the audio on some stuff. But yeah, I just went down the basement. Again, it was like using my dad's stuff just to be like, I woke up one day and I was like, oh, I'm going to go to the grocery store. And I'm going to get some stuff so I can make a video about how to make like Harris crown. And like, I'm going to try to garnish for the first time ever on camera because like, who cares? Like, it's going to be hilarious. So what this taught me, this like stupid little project, right? And we're talking maybe 2 weeks in total, right? This was not a huge thing, but like just going and trying something and obsessing over something for a couple weeks, like it taught me a different way to illustrate and like a style I could like put in my back pocket if I needed later. It taught me how to make video content, which who knew back then that like Instagram would be all video content now. So like that was cool to see. Like I'm still using the same camera as my web camera that I used back then. So it's like a lot of this is all staying the same. Just ask, like, I didn't want to use copyright free music, but I didn't want to get copyright strikes. So I just like started reaching out to these hardcore bands. I was like, hey, can I use like your track? And they were like, that sounds so dumb. Of course you can. Like, because it's like the sense of humor in that group, right? It's just like everything's a joke until it's not. And then, yeah, it's just like another example of like how good it was for me just to make something, not ask for permission or ask for someone to like get me to do the work, like just to go make something real quick. Any questions that spurred up?
Okay.
You can say no. I got more.
How do you think your styles has evolved? Or do you think like I know because I know you and I talk to you every week, but like in terms of materials, I know that you're always
Yeah.
trying new things. You're even going back old school, old cameras or old monitors. Like
I think
again,
the
it's
next
that trash.
project,
Okay,
yeah,
well
I think the
keep
next
going.
project we're going to start talking about scanners. So yeah, that what you're saying is true. Like the style changes a lot, and I think it's 100% on like whatever toy I'm playing with.
Mm,
So like the first project was like, oh, how am I going to use like Illustrator and Photoshop to like make a brand? And the tool there was actually like the brand in a weird way. It wasn't the
mm-hmm.
software. And then this was like the tool was Illustrator and then my camera in the basement, right? With this next project, which gets on that trash fiend, right? Like I don't think I touched trash for the most part since school until this project. But I made a zine called "You Are What You Eat." Now go live in it, and I was trying to figure out how to like explain this project. I'm just going to read the foreword that I put in this project. It's a little long, so bear with me, but I think it does a better job than I could do, like verbally or off the cuff. But the about section, the beginning says, while living in New York during the peak of COVID, my eating habits quickly deteriorated. All across my desk laid wrappers, napkins, and cups from an assortment of fast food joints as I sat another day in my creaking chair. Pushing my mouse through a perimeter of multi-material packaging, I realized I had not only gained dozens of pounds, but was also creating my personal landfill from the greasy remains of paper and plastic. These empty calories were making for a filled out waistband, but what was even more disturbing was that each meal left a small bag of materials our planet would be stuck with for decades, if not centuries. This realization has left little to no impact on my behavior, even as I relocate to a new city and as COVID lost its intense grasp on our collective action. Fast food still makes up too many of my meals. What does it take to break habits and force someone to choosing momentary convenience? And I think this was like the first project where I was allowing myself to like bring emotion into it,
That
where
is
like
real. That's a powerful. What you wrote was really concise. It's clear, but it is very um emotional or impactful. And this comes before the thing you did at the end of RIT, right?
no,
You're
this started, it was right around the same time.
okay. So
Um,
very emotional or um
yeah, yeah, I was, I don't know where most people here are from, but New York took COVID extraordinarily seriously. I remember being in the lab before spring break and a professor coming, being like, pack your stuff up, like we're not coming back. And us being like, ha 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 ha, it's a China disease, like we'll be fine. And then not going back and also being encouraged and mandated not to leave our apartments. So like when you're living alone for months, my only interaction was like with a grocery store clerk every few days because we weren't supposed to go every day. It was like every few days you could go to the grocery store. So then you were eating out a lot because for some reason in the infinite wisdom of our government, like DoorDash was still okay. So like people were still driving around and delivering trash. And like I sat in this room like weeks of just like isolation and there was like piles of garbage. I was like, oh, like I am spiraling right now. And that probably is why I started like another manic project for my thesis. But I wanted to figure out like how I could push these emotions through a project to like just work through it. So I took the wrappers and cleaned them off and then put them on a scanner and then started moving it while the scanner was going to try to like replicate how I felt inside, kind of like that deterioration and grossness. And then like, how do I recreate what this trash is going to look like in 10 years where it's just like melting and soaking into the ground and like being ripped apart. So every time I took fast food, I would just like clean off everything, go to the scanner, and then just like sit there. And I have a video to show you like how this all got made. But it just started out as like posters. Like I had no idea what zines were. I had like a tertiary idea of what zines were, but like I had never like explored it. But eventually like I just kept making these posters of like fast food, and then I moved cities and it's like, oh, there's a whole new crop of fast food out here in the Midwest. Like the Midwest really loves their fast food. But then I was like, what do I do with these? Right. Like I was posting them on Instagram, but like, who cares? So I bought like a little eco tank printer for Epson so I could get a laser printer or inkjet printer pretty cheap. And made this zine where like a bunch of the spreads are shown on the left there, just like printed. But then I took vellum and started dissecting the poster so that you could like manipulate it so that the viewer had a chance to like participate in the creation of these posters and these garbage. Because like I know what I was going through wasn't the only thing. And then on the left, I also showed the impact on my health from like everything I ordered from each of those meals. And it's like terrible. I mean, if you never had a runza, like it's the worst food I've ever eaten. And that meal cost me 2,300 calories. Like that's like really not great.
One meal. Wow.
Yeah. And I still eat fast food all the time. Like this didn't do anything to stop me. I don't know. But you can see like, so I made it a product, shipped it out. But you can see here, like the lessons I learned from the clothing brand was like, photography really matters. So like I collected garbage in a trash can and like put it in the trash can. I did some other fun stuff. Like I recorded a lot of video like I did with the Mocktails project just to like help build out like a selling point, which is insane because I was only going to sell like 12 of them anyways because they took so long to make. So I put like way too much effort. They sold out instantly because like I had spend 2 weeks building it up. And then I was like, oh, I'm not actually making any of these. So I did take a video. I think it's already muted because I don't want to cause any issues. I'm going to skip around a little bit. So there's the scanner. And when it started, this is all going like kind of fast, super fast. Oops, turn that off. When the scanner goes, you just move the packaging and really it was just like experiment and you don't see what it does until afterward, right? It's kind of like film photography. Like you do all of this and then you wait for it to show up on your computer.
Right.
And you just like slowly go through each thing, trying to get each of the little logos, the print, anywhere like print was on napkins. And then with napkins, it's like such a scrunchy material. Like you could also like manipulate the material, not just the position.
Yeah.
With the cup and then trying somewhere in here, where'd it go? I don't know. The clear like barely works. So like then you put paper inside to like try to get it to work there. So it really is just like play, but it's play in like a 10, 15 minute increment, right? Like the whole point of this was like, how do I not spend too much time trying to make this perfect? Because it should look terrible. And
but it
then
looks
I went
really cool. Like it looks, I mean,
well, I appreciate
the
that.
manipulations are, they're very different than anything. Anyway, I love it. Keep going.
Well, and then even the Photoshop here, like anyone who does Photoshop is going to like cringe so bad because it was like using the magic wand tool and then like you can see me kind of erasing and then just being like, just leaving the rest. And like a lot of like using the mouse to erase things rather than the pen tool. Like it was really rough. Like that was the point, right? Like this shouldn't look like something that is super heavy or super intense because it was like made in a depressed state. Like it should look like I couldn't even sit there and doing it. But then it's just like a lot of blending, a lot of layering over and over and over again, just like going through like that library of scans I've got.
Yeah.
Can you hear that horn?
Yes. It's weird.
Just some idiot.
Your DoorDash is here.
Yeah, no, it's some drunk guy probably in the street that some car can't get around. So
Jason Karn says it would feel wrong if it was more polished. I agree. The quick and dirty approach is what something like this needs. I totally agree.
Yeah, I think that's exactly where my head was at. It was just like, if this looks polished, then like I'm missing the point. Like this was actually, so like Dead Flesh Co had a point, right? It was like about my faith and my lack of drinking. The Mocktails had a point, but like this had a point where it was like equal therapy, equal output. And it was another thing where like while making it, people were like relating because like a lot of people in New York were really stuck. And it was like, oh, we're all kind of going crazy. Like this is how we all feel.
Daniel has a question. Daniel has a question. Did you get this text effect the same way? Did you create, copy, print it out, and then move it around on the scanner?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm just using the same tricks for sure.
That's cool. Gabriel says, what kind of scanner do you use, Will?
Gabe, I made these all with the scanner at your school. You should go try. Set it to 600 DPI so it moves a little slower. But yeah, so like this project taught me like binding styles. Like there's
Mm-hmm.
no way you'll be able to see it on camera, but like it's all bound by hand. There's videos
Mm-hmm.
on my Instagram, like how to do that. Um, it taught me how to mess around with printers. Like printing on vellum is like
Mm-hmm.
not great. If you buy a vellum and it's like inkjet approved, it's not. Like it
Yeah.
smears every time. And I had to print on both sides. So it was like, how do I create a oh, what's that thing Ford made? The like making the cars.
A assembly line.
Yeah, making an assembly line of like, all right, I'm going to print all of the one sides, let them dry.
Yep.
And then by the time I finish printing all of those, I can like flip them over and print on the other sides and let them dry. And then the scanners, obviously, this felt very new and cool to me. Evidently, people have been doing this since like the 60s and 70s. So like there's nothing new under the sun. So that was humbling. And then using emotions to make something I think a lot of designers shy away from because everything we do is so commercial and is so important to keep like that. But I think we should allow ourselves like make stuff that matters to you and not your customer. And then like shipping zines, like I had spent so much time shipping shirts, but I learned about media mail and how I could ship these things for like $3. It was great. And I learned how to argue with people at the USPS because they were like, this is not a book. And I was like, it's bound. And they're like, fine. Like, they're like, it might get sent back to you. I was like, it's not going to. Like, I've been sending these now for months and you're fine. So yeah, like that project, like you were saying, like the aesthetic changes completely. But I think it was almost all because of like where I was mentally, but more than that, like what tools I decide to use. Someone, I think, so Dan was, no, not Dan, it was Crew, guy I know on Instagram, was like, did you make this in Figma or did you make it in Photoshop and then bring it into Figma? And I was like, I use scanners, bud. Like, I have no idea how I would do this in Photoshop. Like, I've got no clue how to, I'm sure you could, maybe. But just like, go play with scanners. It's fun. And like the smell of, the reason I got an inkjet printer instead of laser, because I hate the smell of toner.
Mm.
But my apartment smelled like sweet, sweet inkjet for weeks, and it was wonderful. All right. Next project, unless you have something you want to interrupt me with.
Okay, how does your process change depending on the medium or the subject matter? Like how if you think, oh, I'm going to do something with all this trash.
Yeah.
Did you think, oh, I want to do something with the scanner? Or like how do you decide what medium is piquing your interest? Or
I don't know. I probably saw something about someone accidentally like moving something on a scanner. And I was like, oh, like that's, and it probably like pulled type. And I was like, oh, that's like really interesting. And like, if you look at like trash, if it's crumpled up in the garbage can, it like creates that kind of like weird manipulation where things look scrunched up, or if you like tear things, everything's like starts getting extended. And I didn't want to do it with cameras. Like I didn't want to just do like a still life photo project because that didn't feel fun. I think if I was a real photographer, like that could have been very cool. Like showing your daily food through its garbage would be very cool. But for me, I knew I wanted to do like posters. So I don't know if it's like I didn't choose it, right? I stumbled on it and then just like did it, or if it was just like good timing, or if I had made this like a month later and I had seen other stuff, would it have turned out totally different? Probably.
well, and you did kind of like you started with posters and then you were like, oh, I'm going to try this zine because
Yeah,
the
like how
zine
do I
might be a
package it?
better. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I know. I wish I had like a better, like more like clear answer of like, this is why I did these things. But most of the time it's just like, oh, I felt like it, which is not super helpful.
Well, but it means that you're looking at things. You're always thinking about, could I do this? How can I do this? How is this affecting what I'm thinking or what I'm doing? So I like that. It means that you're not just in a vacuum.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
I try, hopefully, and with each of these projects, hopefully you'll see that like I try not to like lock myself into some rule set ever. Once I do, like even like Dev Flesh Co. died because either I had to start going to like big wholesaler conventions and like actually take the brand seriously and try to get into places like Zoomies, or I had to like just keep doing what I was doing. And like I was so bored after 10 years, I was like, I'll just kill it. Because it was easier, right? And then I moved on to something different that allowed me to do something opposite. All right, let's hit one of the nerd topics. And I think the rest of this probably has nerd going through it. And it's going to be a lot of different avenues of nerddom. But I was talking to a friend because there's like a big new, somewhere in Utah, they're doing like a Star Wars themed kind of like Airbnb. And I said, it's just like really weird to see like the stuff that made me not cool in high school become like something I can't afford now. Right? And she's like, when was Star Wars not popular? I was like, during the prequels where everyone hated it. Like that's Star Wars, D&D, Magic the Gathering, like this like nerd thing that like me and my like core group of friends like really found to be like, I don't know, like the most enjoyable, most bonding thing we could, is now like becoming like mass material or mass consumption. And D&D is like in a weird spot where it's like that now because of shows like Stranger Things, or there's a Critical Role, which is a little bit more like less mainstream. But like these big multi-million-dollar or billion-dollar things are now like pushing a hobby that made me like the weirdo is now like making it like cool. So Dungeons & Designers.
I think it's because now we have the internet, and the people that were on the outside can now find their other people, and you couldn't really do that before.
Yeah, I think that. And I also think culturally, like it was very normal for me to make fun of people in high school about stupid things. And like we were cruel to each other. And it's probably, part because like it was New Jersey, but like we were cruel. And I think Gen Z gets like a lot of hate. But I think a lot of that has like gone away a little bit because we're accepting everything, right? And maybe like in this project will kind of show this, like a lot of people wanted to play D&D in high school and didn't because they thought it'd be made fun of, right? And I think now with like people just being like, yeah, like, oh, we can just do like whatever because like who cares what people think about us, or they need to accept us no matter what. I think it has allowed some of these like hobbies to like really explode.
Yeah.
So Dungeons and Designers was a podcast I started because when I went to grad school, I was losing my D&D group and I knew I couldn't play D&D anymore. And I was like, how can I keep playing D&D? And I was like, oh, I could con my designer friends to make something because designers always need a product at the end. So we made Dungeons Designers, which was a weekly podcast where me and my friends played D&D, often with a designer who had never played D&D before. So like we would bring on guests. And a lot of times we're like, hey, do you want to play D&D? Or they'd reach out to us, be like, I've never played before, but like I've always wanted to, can I? And we're like, that's exactly who plays.
Play with you once?
No, but Vaughn knows D&D.
I know. He did the logo.
I'm like glowing.
Oh, I love it. It looks like
that didn't help at all. Yeah.
What?
I guess the clouds broke and like I'm now like fully in it. So I made this podcast, and this was like a very, very different thing that I made in the past because it required like a weekly commitment, right? Like I had to release every Tuesday or Wednesday, whatever day we used to release. I had to make the art. I was like kind of organizing it, but I had a bunch of people helping me, which was awesome.
And you got to play with your brother.
I got to play with my brother. But it was like another thing where it's just like, how do I use my design skills to help me create a different product that is totally different than what I made in the past? So these are all like the little Instagram ad things that we would release to like try to get people to go listen to the show.
This is like the beginning of the little, I don't know, not Blender, but those you're using you're making things on Instagram. I remember because I was there. I mean,
yeah.
And now you're still
you've been here for a long time.
Yeah. Okay. So then.
Well, in addition to Instagram, you also like, I took it more serious than we probably should have, right? But it was just like, if I'm going to put this on YouTube eventually, first it was just audio. And then I was like, we're playing with screens. Like I can see everybody. Like, let's just like record the video. But I didn't want it just to feel like you were tuning in to our Discord call. Like I wanted to package it and make it be like, hey, these guys care, right? Like put in some effort so that when people go and watch it, like there's something. And there was also like a standard being set by other shows that were doing similar things. but also because I'm a designer and like ADD, like I could change it whenever I wanted. So like the consistency was like never there. Every couple of days I was just, I got a new idea.
But
But like
that's
this was really
exploring,
cool for
you
sure.
know.
It's just not real good for brand equity.
But as something's growing, you get to decide. So this is the beauty of testing and
Yeah.
figuring things out, right? You're like, okay, I have a new idea. Well, maybe I shouldn't change it next week, but maybe in 6 months we have a different, or like
Well, I think too,
start
and
thinking.
you've been doing your show for a long time, longer than I did anything. But if I didn't change things every couple of months, like I would have been bored and just stopped.
Yeah.
So like for me, I had to do this stuff to like keep engaged and not feel like I was just like spinning wheels. Um, but yeah, so our first like foray onto YouTube, I was playing with Courtney, my brother Dan, Zach Wilkinson, who are like all still good friends. Like I love all these people still. And they didn't know, like, and I didn't know. I started this during 2019 fall when I was moving to RIT, but like they would have played, they were going to play D&D with me through COVID, right? Which was another like really important thing where like every week I had this like touch point of like people that like we could check in on each other, even though we were geography like
In different
Courtney and Zach
states.
were like in different parts of North Carolina. My brother was in Jersey. I was in New York. And then eventually, the project had to change because like my life changed when I started teaching, and I was like, I need a different schedule that didn't work for those guys. But we already were streaming all our stuff through M of One podcast. So then the M of One crew was like, well, let's us try to play D&D once in a while doing this. So like we brought them on, and like they're still like really good friends. I still talk to all of them like a ton. And then on the bottom right, Jonathan Cottrell, he was one of our guests where he was just like, I've played D&D in the past. Like, can I play with you guys? And he's like, cool, man. Like, just jump in. We'll give you a character for like this one session, and then like you'll be on your way. So it's really cool, just like a way of like meeting new people virtually. But it also, we started a Patreon, and I think we started Patreon a lot because you recommended it and like other people did, but it was a cool way to like start making products again, like I was with the clothing brand. But we were just like, if you're a Patreon follower, you get stickers every month. And it was just like a cool way of us just like make little pins,
And a
stickers.
postcard with you signed something, I think.
Yeah, I can't remember. I had, yeah. So like, there's just a little thank you note of like, thanks for playing along with our dumb game. So yeah, it was just like a cool thing that taught me again, like if you can, I think it's like the fourth project we looked at, or third, I can't remember. But it was like totally different aesthetically, right? And software was different. With this project, I had to learn how to do like audio recording and streaming and go into software to clean up the audio. It taught me new 3D stuff and new motion things. And like the most important thing was like fun can be enough reason to do it, right? Like that was never going to make money, but it was like a blast. And that was super important for me just to go have fun.
But even in like, if it's just fun for you, if you're ever working with a client, you can say, oh, have you thought about this? Like it gives you more things to be able to monetize if you're going to, or things
For
that you
sure.
could teach a student so that they can be able to monetize those things.
And I still make videos and stream with M of One. And I think a lot of the reason I can do that stuff is because I had done it on my own for other things, right? Like none of these skills just like go away. Like you can just pick these things back up whenever you want. Like if I want to go make t-shirts again, like it's not that hard. Like I've done it enough times. All right, back to nerd. So this is where things get weirder. And the next few I think are going to be weird. I'm going to try to go quicker because I think I'm running out of time. But this project was called A Child. And one of the things that I am worried about a lot is like our mental well-being on social media. I think like we're deteriorating as a culture. And this guy, David Yeague, wrote, these results are striking. It was like a very long paper, but he wrote, these results are striking in part because the adolescents aren't getting bullied or harassed. They're just not getting liked as much as they want to be. And that's leading them to show symptoms of depression. And this was about like rates of suicide in young women raising. So I wanted to make something that, again, kind of emotional, like the zine was. How do I make like a new kind of experimental thing? So I made this website, and you're going to have to try to track with me because it gets weird. So my phone is doing Instagram Live and pointing at my monitor that has a website that I created that is hooked up to a webcam that is watching the Instagram Live. So it is a closed circuit of things that people could tune into. So there's like the webcam pointed at the phone was pointed to the monitor. On the website, it was monitoring this little tiny square of pixels on the video where anytime I got a heart or a like, it would know because the colors would change. And what would happen is that little black square, the thing I call a child, would start at the top and then go all the way to the bottom, and the screen would get blacker and blacker and blacker. And once it reached the bottom, the website would kill itself, showing like if it's not getting attention, like it's going away. And then you can like all you want, but it's over, right? There's nothing you can do because it's too late. And I have a video of like a time lapse. Yeah, except Instagram Live, no one interacts with, so the kid just died every time. And I don't have many followers, so like it didn't work. But this is that closed loop where you can see kind of a clock speeding up, so you can see it's much faster. Like this was like a 5-minute thing where it would slowly move, and you get a lot of people just being like, "What is this? This is weird," but not doing anything, right? So eventually, it gets to the bottom, and then the website just dies, and then I end the stream. And it was really
maybe
cool.
It needs a better call to action. Like,
so I've got a version 2 because I agree. I think both the
I want to save the kid.
Both the medium. I don't think Instagram Live is the appropriate thing, and I think people read and they don't interact. Right? I think you need something else. So I've got like a version 3 I'm playing with that's like a big pixelated face, which if anyone grew up with Nickelodeon, like any millennials with Nickelodeon, there was like this big face before cartoons. And it goes from smiley to sad and goes from green to gray. And I've got it so that it can generate these little quote bubbles with messages. And I just asked ChatGPT to give me 100 quotes from a super desperate streamer. And it's like begging for likes. And I tiered them in like severity. So as it gets sadder, the messages get more desperate and desperate and desperate. So I'm playing with like maybe installing it in physical space, like a hallway or something with just like a like button. So if you walk by, you can just like reset it. But while you're walking by, it could like yell at you, not audible, but visually yell at you, be like, please like give me your attention. But again, like, I don't know where it's going to go, but it gave me an excuse to learn a framework for JavaScript called P5JS, which is like an artist framework for JavaScript.
I think
so like,
you
that was really
go
cool.
to the psychology department and talk to them, because I think that would be a really powerful, like a study.
Maybe. I mean, so you're probably right. I see it as just being a fun Tamagotchi, or I guess a depressing Tamagotchi. So like, I don't take it that serious, but you could be right.
Anyway,
psychologists scare me. So what that taught me though was a lot of new programming concepts, which was really cool. Like I think learning how to program is hard if you don't have reasons to keep expanding your knowledge base. So this gave me that reason to expand my knowledge base. Design tools can make weird stuff, right? Like I think for most of us, we went to school, we're like making posters and logos, but like end of the day, we can make whatever we want with this stuff. Like it does not need to be like cool or clean. It can be weird. So like that was a really cool example of like tools dictating output. All right, I think 2 more. Do we have time for me to run through 2 more? All right. So these are 2 current projects that are kind of going on. This project is called Trash Files. And I'm going back to those trash roots. Very similar to the zine, but I thought what would be way cooler is if I bring in community and allow other people to contribute and make kind of their own assets or posters or whatever. So this is a database called Trash Files. And if I change, I think I've got it. So Trash Files is like this weird website that has a very kind of like DOS type database field. But if you click into each one, it gives you, it gives you a 3D where you can scan around and move and go see the trash that people are finding with all the information about where they found it. So it's like creating this live database of like our impact on our environments while allowing other people to like, or forces other people to like recognize it. Like look at the garbage you're walking around. But this project taught me a lot because I think it's probably the first like big failed project I've had. Right? It's cool. I'm happy with it. It looks exactly like I thought it would or wanted it to. But to participate right now, you have to download a program called Polycam, which you can use for free. You have to go scan, which is, it scans by taking hundreds of photos. So you like walk around as your phone is just like rapid firing photos. Then you have to download an app called Road Reporter to get the noise pollution, because that's another part of the website where there's audio playing while you look at the model. Then you have to get your GPS locations, because we want to geo-target all of this. And then you have to go to a form I have set up and then input all this stuff. I've done like 50 of them, and it takes me like 5 minutes to do one. For a new person, it takes like half an hour. So like this showed that like, even though I found tools to do it all that like worked for me, if you want to have other people start involving themselves in your projects, you need to open it up in ways that are more accessible. So I'm talking to a developer now about like how I can get most of this stuff to be built through the website. So it's like one-stop shop, and then it can automate some of the things for you. Like right now, like there's no reason for anyone to help contribute to this. Right. Like, and I wouldn't expect them to.
But what I love about these ideas of these projects is people say lots of things like we need to recycle or we need to whatever, but then they say it. They might have the shirt, they might have a sticker on their car, but they're still walking by. They're still overlooking things. I mean, me included, right?
Yeah.
Or eating too many Chick-fil-A's or something.
I mean, to keep your sanity, you have to not look at it. Like
you have to be able to turn some things off, but instead of it's saying action means more than your words. So I love all these, and it creates community. It says for the people who really care, it just means that you have to get connected to the people who really are doing something. I think even Patagonia would I think they would think this is cool because they recycle things and make clothes.
If anyone
out of
knows
it.
at Patagonia, hit me up, because
Yeah.
I will sell out to any company. It'd be great. But yeah, like I'm really happy with the project. Like it's been super fun. I now have a database of around 100 3D models, audio recordings, material data that I've been able to create other assets with, which I don't know why I didn't show, but like I've made like animated projects, made still photos or posters. Like it's really cool just to now have like this like plethora of like assets I can just do whatever I want with. It taught me new things about 3D, like how to render 3D in your browser, which was really cool and something I'd never done before. But like the biggest thing was like, this was the one time where I really did not equip the people I needed to interact with it well. I think Dead Flesh Co., I just kind of like, I fell into it. Like it was like family and friends who would like go out of the way to help me. For this type of thing, when you want like a larger global community to start like scanning trash, it's up to you to like make a tool that they can use. And I think I prioritized that when I was like concepting the workflow.
But that's the beauty of learning and like, oh, we need to make this user experience easier to be able to make this more known, how much trash we're walking by or like.
Yeah, I look at it now as a proof of concept, right? Like everything was enough to get like a working mock-up of everything, right? Like the data's all there. It's all interactable. You can go to trashfiles.net right now and go see it all. But like for me, now it's like, all right, how do I get to step 2? Which means like, how do I pay a developer to help me build the stuff that I know I can't? Like that's just past my skill set.
Right.
So we'll see. Like it's not done. Like this one and the next project are like ongoing things that I'm like actively still trying to figure out. So in the next nerdy project, and this is the last one, I think, is this new software I started using. It's not new software, it's new to me, called Touch Designer. And Touch Designer was built by a guy who helped make the first few versions of Houdini, which is a 3D software if people aren't familiar with. So this is like a spin-off of that 3D software. But it allows you to make software or experiences where you can bring in a ton of different inputs and drive lots of different effects and outputs. So the idea is like for us, like our input is usually like keyboard and our output is like poster. This allows my input to be audio, video, body tracking, keyboard, imagery, like all those things can drive different effects. So what started as like silly little kind of like early 2000s audio visualizers, like on iTunes, when you like would click on the audio visualizer, it was just like vibrating things or things like warping to the audio, became more storytelling assets where like I would take videos of like these bison from my road trips and then create these kind of almost microscopic organism effects on top of it. Then those overlays are all being driven by audio that's like manipulating noise fields and things like that. But then it opened up a whole like bunch of more things to start playing with where like
this has been within the last year, right? Like you've been
doing like last 6 months.
Yeah. Okay.
So like playing with like old CRT screens and like how do I loop these graphics like over multiple screens so it's not just all locked into one frame? How can the medium or the formatting impact the visual as much as the content itself? How can I like take performances in real life and like pull that through the video and have that kind of like drive these effects? How can I take all those kind of sci-fi things I love and like create weird things that like any audio that comes through it, it will look different, or anytime you listen to it at a different point of the audio, it looks different. It's not the same looping thing. And it's just been a really cool way of stretching my aesthetics to like a whole new category that I've never done before, which has been pretty encouraging. But like you were saying, like, I don't know why I'm doing this. Like, the posters I knew were like a therapy thing. The Dead Flesh Co. was like a community thing. The D&D was like a fun thing. Like, I don't know where this goes. And I think that's okay.
Yeah, I think so too. But it's also a different way to process audio. Like we have just had waves, like now you're processing it in lots of different ways. And that is that's the way, that's what I love about you. You think different. Like I just accept that that's how you show a audio file, but now you're showing us we could do audio file or, like it's just, there's lots of other options. We just have to.
I think this all goes back to like two things I said, which was like Massimo Vignelli's, if you design something, you design anything. And when you're using digital tools, there is no aesthetic bounds, right? There's no output bounds. And I think myself included sometimes, but like a lot of designers really limit themselves to like one thing, right? And it's just like, you've got a computer in front of you that can do anything. The only thing that's like limiting you is like time and imagination. And like these people who are just like some of my favorite designers who just make logos, like they are so creative. Like I don't, this is not a dig to them at all, because I think they're geniuses. Like Michael Beirut is a genius to me, but he's limited himself so much to like a fine-tuned set of skills that he's like mastered, where like I would have loved to see what he would have done. And this goes back, like Massimo Vignelli was designing furniture and tableware and posters and maps. The Bauhaus, as part of their curriculum, would force you to do like performing art, welding, furniture. Like, I think as creatives, we are meant to create lots of things. And the more we like bound ourselves to like just this one single output, the less we're giving ourselves a chance to like be truly happy with what we make.
You know why? I think we're just afraid. We get good at something and we don't really want to not be good at something. It's like that, the child. We don't want to
not get likes,
or it's about failure or rejection. And I think that this is something that you've embraced as like, it's what Benjamin Franklin went through, or Edison. They would try a lot of different things. And my dad always reminds me about the Edison one that somebody said, "Sir, you found yet another way to not make the light bulb," or whatever. And he's like,
I think it
son.
was, "You failed again at making a light bulb." And he said, "No, I found another way you can't make a light bulb."
Right. And he's like, it's just knowledge. It's information put in. But I think we are really afraid of rejection and failure, me included, that it makes us so that fear holds us back. And it is like, maybe this is the homeschool part of you that you're like, oh, I didn't have that. I didn't.
Well, and I would also say, like, we all have Instagram now, right? So we are all aware that we are not the best. So like, what is the risk at doing something bad? Like, nothing I put on Instagram is gonna be better. Like Jason Carn was here and I point to Jason Carn all the time being like, his type is like I'm
Uh,
never going to be as good as Jason Karn.
Amen. And he's doing,
So
he
that,
used to do so much by hand, like,
oh, he's great. Yeah. Like, but like, if I'm not going to be Jason Karn, they're like, what's the risk of like doing something ugly for a while? Like, I'm still going to,
but
as
I,
long as I like it.
but I think it's that you're confident in who you are and whose you are, and that you're like, okay doing that. And I think a lot of times people have, it takes a lot of guts. And that's another thing I just love about you. I'm so glad you're my friend. Like, you are inspiring to me that you explore so much. I think you're inspiring to your students that you do that. But it is helpful to see that you just keep trying and exploring, to me personally.
Yeah. I mean, I'm glad. I'm glad that it can be encouraging to you because I know you've been encouraging to me with this podcast and all the stuff you're doing. So it says what it taught me, but it should say like what it's teaching me because this is like clearly going on. But this showed me like tools can direct aesthetic more than like any past project. Like my aesthetic changed completely because the tools I was using. Tools can inspire, right? Like every day I'm going in playing with touch designers, not because I have like some genius ideas, because the tools are making me want to make.
Mm.
And then like the most important lesson, and I think this is something all of my projects have probably taught me. I think exploration and discovery are better than learning, right? Like I'm a teacher, so like it might sound crazy, but like if I can get my students to discover and to explore on their own and come to like their own conclusions, it's going to be so much better than like if I just feed them information that they just accept.
Rules.
Like if my students are debating me in class, I am so happy. Like I'm like, let's keep going. Like, because I'll always win. But I like, I like that they do it. Like, because I want them to come in and like figure it out on their own. Like scrape their knees a little bit, like run through the woods and learn.
My students have taught me things that I was like, oh, I didn't know I could do that. And I love that. Thankfully.
Yeah. That was the last slide I had. If you want these slides for some reason and you're watching on YouTube or on Zoom, you can scan that QR code. Or if you're on your phone, I think you can screenshot it and then click on the QR code. You can find me on the gram at Will Truran, willtruran.com.
Spell it
or
out.
If you WILLTRURAN. Can you not read what's on the screen, Diane?
I am, but for
I'm
people
joking.
who are
Diane, I'm
audio
joking.
only, I always like to read out the link. So
I was still joking too because like the type is all destroyed.
But I can still read it. So on Instagram, instagram.com/Will Truran. And then you have this other thing that I had not seen. It's posts. So posts.cv/Will Truran.
Highly recommend if you are, especially if you are a digital creator or a product designer and you're crying because Twitter is dead. Posts is like a really small social media, low thousands of people where you can find like true community of like-minded people. It's almost 100% developers and product designers, but they accept my weird touch designer stuff and everyone loves it. So like, it's just been really cool. Like it's what Twitter probably felt like the first days. They also have a cool resume CV builder where you can just like auto-populate a CV by like the projects you're doing. So if you're a designer, check out Posts. Can't recommend them enough. They're really good people over there. I've spoken to Andy a couple of times who's like leading it up. It's my Twitter replacement because Twitter was my favorite social media. And I almost cried when Elon Musk took it over.
So I also want to make sure people know YouTube. You can go to YouTube at Will, WILL. In the South, we say it sort of like wheel.
Wheel.
So Will TRURAN. And then I added these two. They're on the link for where your show is, which is creativesignite.com/Will-Turan, I think. Let me make sure. Of course, it's not telling me now, but I'll get it in just a second. And then Trash Files is trashfiles.net. We looked at that. And then deadflesh.co/X MOCKTAILSX. So, and yeah, if you go to creativesignite.com, all these links are there as well. And you can find all that stuff here, and I'll put it in the chat too. So Will-Turan, or whatever. I don't say your name. I'm sorry. I say Will.
You're good. Yeah.
I probably don't even say wheel right.
That's good. You and Alan say
Alan.
wheel the best.
Alan has the best. Alan definitely says it. Carrie knows Alan. All right. Will, thank you. Thank you for doing this. I love the way you think. You think differently. And for me, I love that you try things. It inspires me. I hope it's inspired y'all. Thanks for hanging out for a little bit longer than an hour. And next week we are wrapping up the sketchbook. I'll probably do another sketchbook series, maybe November. I haven't decided, but we have a couple different things in September, and then October is going to be product design. So we're going to have some neat people who are doing different product is very broad. But next week we have Amaryllis Henderson. She's been on the show before. She she uses her sketchbook a lot, and this is the last one in this small part of the series, but we're going to try to do these like what Will did once a month or once every couple months, because I really love seeing what inspires people and how they make stuff and why they make stuff. So Will, thank you. Thank you for all the support, all the years, and just being such a good inspiration. And I hope that people go out thinking differently, because you think differently, and it inspires us to have less fear and go be bold and make community. And I love that you're using emotion more in your work.
On my work, but not my face.
No, Will does not. He has this face all the time. And I said when he went to interviews, I'm like, you're gonna have to smile. And I think you said this. My face hurt at the end.
My face hurt.
Yeah, you really have to practice smiling a lot. Will helps me at Creative South a ton, and he was me that year. And lots of years you helped me, so I appreciate it greatly.
I will keep helping you. April.
Okay. Yeah.
10th?
I don't remember.
Cool. Thank you so much, Diane.
Thank you. And I'll see you guys next week.